teams with really good senior guards can get carried a long way in March. And I don't think there's a better senior guard in the country than Scott.
Yeah.
All right, what's up, everybody? After a little hiatus for me to mentally cope with the playoff loss, we are back. It's more steam.
Back and better than ever. Postseason edition.
New season.
Let's just say new season. Because technically, we're in season with winter sports. We're pre-season with spring sports.
And pre-season for football.
Yeah.
I'm always in football season.
Yeah, and there is really no off-season.
No,
I kind of abide by that truth.
Yeah, the Josh Pate's got it right. There is no off-season.
100%. I'm a Josh Pate disciple in terms of college sports talk.
Listen, if we're not playing, we're recruiting. So
yeah.
It's always
football. It's recruiting season. Spring ball's about to start up. That's always a little fun. Couple storylines come out of that.
Yeah.
I might make it to a practice. You want to go to a practice?
I'm in most practices.
I will skip school for that. Let's go. We are in. So let's go. Little season recap.
Yep.
We wanted to wait. A lot of the steamers out there are like, where's my episodes? Where's my episodes? Well, we don't have any more. I know. Loyal steamers, we love you.
Guys.
There wasn't really games to cover, and we needed to let that.
Yeah. I mean, I was in a bad place mentally for several weeks, but here we are. We're back.
Yeah.
Feeling a little better.
Feeling a little bit better day by day. And, we let the national championship play its course.
Yep.
I'm not one for moral victories.
And no moral victories, but if we're going to have one, losing to the team that was just the hottest team in the country.
Yeah, one of your awesome sound bites for this whole season was Arkansas might be the best team in the country, and it's because we lost. You want to see them do better as the season goes on. Ohio State is your national champion. I don't like saying that, but if you're going to lose.
And going back to our preview episode of that, I do owe Will Howard an apology. Guy was terrible up until the playoffs, and then, man, he went on a generational run.
That they will make a documentary or something
it's
about
unbelievable.
This team. It is
the guy went from okay all season, horrible against Michigan, to just putting on a clinic.
There's a theory out there.
What is it?
It's just my theory.
I love this.
Is that they knew we were going to talk about him, and they wanted to give us as much material as possible to just devour. And granted, I had a lot of fun making that episode.
It was great.
We talked about Will Howard and his lack of ability to quarterback a football team. We talked about Ryan Day and Just for Men.
That stands.
That still stands.
Still stands.
We talked about all these things, their expensive roster, all these things of like how much of a failure they are in.
And they did what they were supposed to do. So shout out to them. No shout out. I hate them. But congrats on a national championship.
Congrats
they were
to them.
Clearly the best team in college football through the last 6 weeks.
Yes.
Or however many weeks that went on.
I mean, listen, and I'm resident Bills fan here. I'm a little sore. We're filming this today after they lost. I think Ohio State lines up against the Chiefs right now and puts up a fight. There's not much out there. They couldn't stop Notre Dame making that game somewhat close at the end. Respect to Bowl.
All season I joked, I don't understand why you went out and got Quinshad Judkins when you had TreVeyon Henderson. And then the national championship happens. You're like, okay, I got it.
That makes sense.
Why not spend $900,000 on that kid?
Sure. Sure.
Whatever it may be. Or allegedly.
Sure, a number.
So, there's that. Let's talk about Tennessee football. That's what we're here to talk about. And then on to Tennessee basketball. So in this episode, we're going to go kind of a recap of the season, talk about some of our favorite plays, give out a couple of awards, and then we're going to tell you guys what we're going to be doing next, which, spoiler alert, basketball.
There you go.
So football season, though, let's put a bow on this season. Overall, I think it's a successful year. Made the playoff. Won some good games. Got to beat Alabama, beat Florida. Like all these things. Like great season overall. Obviously, we wish it could have ended differently. I think I've been doing a lot of what ifs of playoff seedings. If they had changed it so they didn't have those 4 byes and we don't play Ohio State, what's that look like? How far do we go? But you can't change the past. Got to where we were. Lost to Ohio State, but got to make the playoffs for the first time when they expanded. I think that's awesome. It's a great win for the program. Another winning season for Josh Heupel, who's completely turned this program around. 100%. And now the future is as bright as ever.
As the resident pessimist of the show, I just want to make one point. This is the last thing I'll say about Ohio State, and then I'm not going to utter those 2 words in sequence for the rest of the show. I promise. Okay. Is had the seating been different, what were we in the AP? We were 7?
7, yeah.
Like, say we hosted a game and we get, a Boise or we get an SMU. We likely win that game, and who we go on to whoever we face next, and say we took the Penn State track, right? They, I think, by no argument, had the easiest track and then put up a good fight against Notre Dame. Say we did that, and we're in the semifinals, and we fall short. I think what losing to Ohio State did is it showed us how good we are, but also the gap that we still have yet to go to accomplish 100%. To win those games, to win national 100%. Titles, to compete at the level that we want to compete. So that's the only silver lining I'm going to say.
It was a good look at the difference in a team that's been really good over the last 3 years and a team that's been really good for a decade.
Yes.
That they've been able to stockpile talent, had this like much easier path to recruit. So you could tell the difference in that. A blue chip that's been a blue chip for the last decade and a blue chip who's just not getting back into blue chip territory. So, an eye-opening experience, freezing cold experience. So cold. But again, overall, a great season. Let's talk. We'll go a little bit. Let's do awards first.
Okay.
Or do you want to do top 3 plays first?
Let's do awards.
Let's do awards.
I think top 3 plays a little bit more climatic. So
offensive MVP. Who are you going to give it to?
I mean, is there even a question?
There's not a question.
If a top 3, maybe there's a question, and it's Dylan Sampson.
It's Dylan
Sampson. He's declared for the draft. He's at the. Is he at the Senior Bowl? Can he go to the Senior Bowl?
No, he's not.
He's the type of guy that's going to light up the combine. Cannot wait to see him. His draft grade goes anywhere from like 3rd round.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple people potentially saying 2nd round, but I think he's like a 3rd, 4th, or 5th round guy.
Yeah, running back. The running back position in the NFL, like, is he your next Saquon Barkley? Like, remains to be seen.
It's been devalued. I mean, you look at Jalen Wright last year, who ran pretty well and then still, fell to. He wasn't a 1st or 2nd round pick. So the devaluation of the running back in the NFL obviously hurts that for him, but he'll get drafted and he's going to be a great pro because of all the things he can do and the versatility he brings to NFL teams. But far and away, one of the best seasons that I've ever seen in person in my lifetime. So shouts out to Dylan Sampson. Obviously, we've waxed poetically about him all year long. He's an unbelievable player. It was a special season. I hope, like I said, we told you all year, enjoy it, embrace it, and enjoy it. So would have been a very different season without him on the team.
Without a doubt. And people, I mean, it sucks that we couldn't have gone farther at this point, but like to win 10 games, to be where we are, like, it's because of him.
100%.
And you're going to look back when this team is ready to compete at the levels that we want them to compete at. You're going to look and be like, hey, that's because of Dylan Sampson. Because if this team, which few rolls of the ball, if this team's 8-4, if this team's 7-5, we do not have the momentum that we have now. 2025 doesn't look the same, and that's because of Dylan. So
absolutely, 100%.
Defensive MVP. I'll go first.
Okay.
I think if we had done a preseason awards show, I think you and I probably unanimously, produced Dalton as well, would have said James Pierce. Yep. And while he had a fantastic season and he's going to be a top 10, he'd be top 15 if he slides pick in the draft. I think Josh Joseph is our MVP.
Okay.
Defensive MVP.
I have a different one.
That's good. That's good.
Yep.
Little debate, little controversy maybe. Let us know who you think. We want all your picks, by the way. If you're seeing this, please comment. Dylan Sampson's going to be your pick. But maybe there's some conversation to be had.
Maybe somebody really likes Miles Kitselman.
That's okay.
I'm good with it.
He might be an award here in a second. Josh Joseph's quietly, because of the stars around him, was just an efficient, disruptive, and playmaking pass rusher. And I'm so happy that we have him coming back next year. He's not going to get the preseason hype that James Pierce got.
He's getting a little bit right now. Like seeing it.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Maybe I'm not looking in the right places.
Pro Football Focus is touting him up.
Super high.
Yep.
He's got the making. He's a fantastic kid. He's got the makings to be an absolute stud next year. So I'm hoping 19 goes absolutely crazy. I mean, he's my MVP.
For Josh Joseph's, like, as well-rounded defensive lineman as you can possibly have. Gets after the passer well, but also is elite in the run game. That's what Pro Football Focus tweeted out. He was the highest graded pass rusher in run support all year.
They seem to know what
they're talking about. So yeah, Josh Joseph's a great pick. Mine is Jermod McCoy.
There you go.
I mean, Jermod McCoy coming in, first year in the system, and being an absolute game changer. We'll get to top plays in a little bit, but he's going to be featured pretty heavily in mine.
Let's go.
But also just as a guy that I love defensive backs, like I like pass rushers, I like defensive backs. And it's been a little bit since I thought we had a game changer at DB. And so having him, watching him do what he did all year was fantastic. And I said Josh Joseph is well-rounded. Jermod McCoy is an incredibly well-rounded defensive back between the interceptions, which everybody loves. Those are incredible, but he tackles really well in space. Like, having a guy that you can fully trust. Now, obviously, everybody knows the news. He was injured. So we're hoping for a speedy recovery and then he comes back full strength. But I'm looking to see what he does. It's kind of an encore performance.
Without a doubt. Most improved player. I kind of tipped my hand. It's going to be Miles Kinselman. I love these awards because it truly gets to highlight like the backstory of it all. Yep. A lot of times MVP is more of like a showy award, and especially Dylan Sampson's an anomaly, but normally it's quarterback driven. No matter who you give it, whether it's player of the year in the NFL. But Kinselman comes in, was not highly recruited, wasn't a big name, and just from day one was like, I'm gonna be a guy. And like you can't really tell me otherwise. Like I'm gonna take the reps.
He was undeniable.
Undeniable. And like I got to see him right when he came in before I left to do this. Of like, wasn't really in your face, wasn't really loud, took his reps as a third stringer, and then took his reps as a backup.
And it's like, oh, cool, I'll just take this.
Yep. And it was just like, I'll take what you give me. And I've gotten to spend a little bit of time with the guy, and he's just head down worker, super focused on his craft, and it is shown. And again, super happy to have him back. Don't know if I agree with the court case in which he came back, but like, I'm glad he's here.
Well, I'll take it. I wanted to make mine Dylan Sampson for most improved, but like I don't want to give him 2 awards.
Yeah, that's fair.
The jump he took from last year to this year was unbelievable. My most improved is going to be the other side of the DB. I'm going to go Ricky Gibson.
Okay, yeah.
So just giving all the shouts out to the DBs here. So Ricky Gibson obviously was pretty good last year, but he came into his own this year. I thought really provided us as good a 1-2 combo as we've had in a long time at DB. And so having those two guys at corner, and it allows you to do a lot more things when you've got guys that can defend the perimeters there. I'm going to go with Ricky Gibson. I thought he had a really good year playing second fiddle to Jamad. So, if Jamad's injury is worse than we want it to be, and maybe he's out the first couple games, I have full confidence that Ricky Gibson can come in. Day one and take care of it until Jamad's fully back healthy. But really liked the step that Ricky went from like last year showing flashes to this year being a really consistent SEC DB.
Yeah, it's one thing to have a good freshman season or just a good season as a backup, and it's a complete other to rise to the occasion when your opportunity comes. He absolutely did that. Last award, I'm going to do a newcomer of the year.
Newcomer of the year, okay.
So, just to clarify, this is a freshman.
Okay.
We can do redshirt freshman, like if they didn't play a whole bunch too, or a transfer. I'm going to keep it simple.
All right.
True freshman.
Love it.
Boo Carter. I mean, I think you could have predicted this if you've watched half of an episode of what we've put out this year. Punt returner, didn't start as it, but kind of took it over as the year went on. Absolutely electric. Didn't start at star as the year started. As the year goes on, kind of takes that, runs with it, had a pick, some game-changing sacks, emotional leader of the defense. I cannot wait. We know I'm a big Arian Carter guy, and he didn't really fit into any of these awards. Sorry, man. Maybe next year. But to see both of them, they kind of line up close to each other. Depends on obviously what the offense gives them formation-wise. To see both of them like lead, step in and lead this defense next year, I'm excited. That is a lot of emotion in 2 young men.
That is. So my newcomer of the year could also be Jamad. It's not going to be. Also, real quick shout out to Dante Thornton for most improved. I almost went with him, but I don't know that he improved that much. I think he just stayed healthy. I think he was really flashing when he got hurt the year before.
That's a good point.
So it's like I didn't see a massive jump. I just saw him stay healthy, which, also good for him. He's crushing it at the Senior Bowl, the Shrine Bowl, whichever one he's at. So good for him. Hope Dante gets all the best things in life. Love that kid. For newcomer of the year, I wanted to say Miles Kitselman, but you've already talked about him, so I'll pivot here.
That's all right.
I'm going to go with Jacoby.
Okay.
So I loved watching Jacoby play football.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Emotion, too. He fits right into that.
Right into what you're talking about, the emotions, and just a guy flying in with reckless abandon and just laying the wood to people. Sign me up. Again, I don't know that he was the most impactful player that we had all year, but he was somebody I enjoyed watching football, and when you did see him, it was always for oh, that's a big one. Oh, he got a good hit. I loved watching him play football, and I think this year got a real chance to make a big impact on the field.
He's probably not your best, he doesn't have the best footwork, doesn't have the best technique, but exactly what you're getting from
100%.
him, and it's 110%
you're getting all the effort
he's got.
It also, again, I think I've said this on the show a couple times, if you watch him run through the tee, it looks like it is his last time he'll ever might get to do it. So I love watching that. It's another reason for him to be, I wanted to make sure I gave him a shout out.
100%. There's some emotion to it. So, all right, so those are our awards.
Awards wrapped.
Congrats. We have nothing to give you. Oh, maybe a little trophy.
They're good. They're good.
They're good.
You guys got enough. Let's go top 3 plays.
Top 3 plays.
Start with your third play, and then we'll work down to 1.
Okay, sounds good. So, this is tough because as we talked about it before the camera started rolling, there's a lot of like X's and O's, like this is a cool design, and then there's a lot that we're just like, oh, like that's a 60-yard touchdown by Dante, like that's a pretty cool play too. I chose mine more on like impact and what it meant to the game, to the team, and then to the season as a whole. So my first one, Dylan Sampson, rushing touchdown against Kentucky.
Yep. Right? It's going to be one of my honorable mentions, so it's a great pick.
Can I start with an honorable mention?
No. Okay. Those at the end.
We'll do those at the end. That's fair. Obviously, it's the touchdown he breaks the record in. It's a massive thing, but he gets the handoff, he gets hit, he gets back up, and then the whole team kind of just gathers around him and just you see Nico throwing a little shot.
Come on, get in there.
Just bulldozes him in to the end zone, and I'm like, if that doesn't define our season, it was not easy. Once we got into conference play, didn't score a lot of points. Games were a lot closer than they should have been, at least. And you get your star player who's not getting in the end zone by himself. The whole team rallies around and pushes him in, and we win that game, which sets us up to eventually win 10 at the end of the year. That was one of the most like culture and like camaraderie defining plays, I think.
Loved it. So my third play is one that had a personal impact for me. Okay. It's the Dante touchdown against Oklahoma.
Okay. Yeah.
A great ball, great throw. And at that moment, I was like, we're going to win it all. We are so undeniable. Good. Like, we're just going to dominate. Obviously, it doesn't happen. You see the rest of the season play out. But like that moment at Oklahoma, which I worked for a few years, being in that stadium and watching that happen, I was just like, this is it.
This is it.
I was like, we're just going to score 70 points against everybody. Obviously, that doesn't happen, but that play right there, the moment that it happened and the joy that it brought me in that moment was unbelievable. So I could have picked a couple different Dante long touchdowns, but that one I loved that one.
Well, my next one, number 2, is also a Dante catch, not necessarily a touchdown, but it's 10-7. Let me paint the pic. 10-7. It's like last couple minutes of the third quarter, there's Alabama, right? We have done absolutely nothing with the football. It is just, we get shut out in the first half again. It's just, you're like, we know we're in this game. Like the game's not over, but like, can we just get something? It's like 3rd and 6. Nico rolls to his right and puts just the perfect spin on the ball. I'm sitting in the student section, so it's kind of coming towards me. Dante makes the catch, sets up a touchdown. All of a sudden, we're back in this game. And it was one of those things, same to you, it's like, oh, we got it. We're in.
We're set.
And we preach from the beginning of the season till now about Nico's potential. He played okay this year. I don't think anyone's going to go on their high horse and say that he was an all-star. That's for next year.
That's coming.
But you see throws like that, and you're like, we got a guy. Like, we have this dude.
It's like he had so many flashes this year. He's like, oh, he's got it. He's putting it all together. And like that was one that I was just like, oh, that was unbelievable. On the run, dropped in a bucket. Just a beautiful play.
Yeah, turned the tide of the game, pun intended, and just, got us in a position to win the game.
I'm going to cheat here for my second one.
That's all right.
I got a 2 for 1.
Okay.
So it's Jermod McCoy interceptions. So the first one, the Ryan Williams pick in the end zone, changes that game. Like the first game-changing play. One interception when they're about to score, runs it back. I really thought he was going to score. That would have put it at 1. Unbelievable interception. And then the other one, Vanderbilt interception. 2 of the most athletic interceptions I've seen in a long time. Like elite ball skill plays. So I'm taking both of those as my number 2 because it's just Jermod McCoy
2 for 1. That's all right. I'll give it to you.
So those 2 plays were unbelievable because, again, I love elite defensive back play and like watching that guy do those things, unreal.
Yeah. Well, my honorable mention is going to be a 3-piece, so it's all right. My number 1 most impactful favorite play of the season.
We're going to have the same one.
Has got to be Chris Brazel.
Yeah, it's
got to be. Was it like the craziest play you've ever seen? No. Was it a great ball, great catch? Yes. And did it win us the game for the second straight time at home against Alabama? Yeah, it did. Yeah. When's the last time that happened? I don't know. I was a whole lot younger, if I was even alive.
It's been a while.
We stormed the field again, tear down the goalposts again, and we don't, like, the rest of the season does not shape out. Like, we are backs against the wall fighting for anything. We make the playoffs because of that throw.
Oh, yeah.
Because of that touchdown, because of that win.
Oh, absolutely. That by far is my number 1, just for all the things you said, the moment, what it meant for the fan base. It's a great ball. It's a great catch. Like, it's all the things you want in a football play, and it was a big moment. So, like, no-brainer number 1, in my opinion, for this season. Like honorable mentions though, let's throw a couple out there. I have Dylan Sampson's touchdown run against Georgia, 27-yard run. Just a great run from him, great effort, and just breaking off a decently sized chunk touchdown against Georgia is always cool. The other one is the James Pierce strip sack, or strip tackle, I guess, against Florida. Just a great effort from him. The guy's like 2 inches off the ground, he just rips it out. Just a great play.
2 inches off the ground and 2 inches from the goal line.
Yeah.
I mean, like that changes too. All our defense as a whole deserves as much praise as they've gotten and then some, just for how they kept us in the game. I mean, it's like you took an offense that was sputtering at best and won 6 conference games.
Unreal. A great effort from them. Give me your 3-pack.
Yeah, my honorable mention, and I'm kind of ashamed of myself that it wasn't in, especially probably the most improved is where he fell most appropriately, and that's Will Brooks. And the 3-piece is all 3 of his picks. I
love it.
Because they were all awesome.
Great.
Right? I mean, you got NC State where he takes, a tip ball, runs it to the house, and you're like, that's pretty sick. Then you have the game-sealing pick against Alabama, right? And for all of the massive, I watched the highlights of that game today, 19 minutes worth of highlights, and the majority of them were ours. Pretty sick. You don't see that too often.
Love to see it.
To seal the game there, and then Kentucky to almost score too. I mean, it's like go.
Also, Will Brooks had that game-saving tackle. I don't know if it's game-saving, but the Alabama tackle strips him up and is about to be a touchdown.
Shoestring tackle on a quarterback sneak.
Will Brooks, big plays.
I mean,
coldest white boy in the game.
100%. You're gonna miss him too. He's gonna do great at First Horizon.
Cold-blooded,
just riveted.
I think he's going to make a practice squad. Shout out Will Brooks.
Let's go. Hey, I'm all about it.
Let's see. All right, now we've done football. We've wrapped it up. That's the 2024 season in a nutshell.
The inaugural Steamer Awards.
Yep, the inaugural Steamer Awards. This is the first season of Steamers. We'll be back for this football season, but we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We're going to stay here.
We're staying right here. We're just talking about something that we know a little bit less about and are slightly less passionate about, but it's Vol sports and it's Vol basketball. So here we go.
Look at me. I've checked in before March, which is an improvement from some of the years.
Very much so. I know like the whole roster. Massive. It's pretty big. Also, small roster. Not a big pat on the back, but I'm just saying.
I totally know them all. Actually, I did know them all.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know them all. There's a couple guys that don't play that I don't know.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair.
I know all the players that people
I'm a
play.
big Grant Hurst guy.
I know Grant.
Glue guy.
Yeah, he's a
glue guy.
Maybe I do know them all.
Yeah.
But like, I like them all. I've interacted with all of them at this point now. Obviously, we'll just kind of dive into basketball here as we go. The team is, as we sit here today, 17-3. Mm-hmm. Pretty good. Feels like a lot of games have been played. Missed some of those, clearly. Right. We should start basketball when football ends. I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't have enough brain power to do both all the time.
But to be fair, basketball is, you got to play more games.
That's true.
There's more. Is there more margin for error? I think there's more margin.
Yeah, because you can lose like 5 games.
There's less players on the court. One player can take over a game more easily than a football game. So you got to play more games. And honestly, the ones that we miss when we were locked in on the balls, like they played like George Mason.
Yeah,
I mean it's fine.
I'm not watching them play on YouTube.
I think we beat Idaho.
I think we played Carson Newman at one point.
The Lady Vols did.
Okay.
The Lady Vols did. That's for sure.
But anyway, I actually do love basketball. Basketball is the sport that I grew up my early years loving because my dad played college basketball. Okay. Back in the golden era.
More you know.
Watkins back when there was a freshman team and then a varsity team back in college, way back in the day. My dad played freshman basketball at a different SEC school that I won't talk about. So anyways, I love basketball. I got a passion for basketball. My dad obviously loves basketball, so I grew up liking basketball. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to kind of dive into basketball. Once football ends, I turn my attention to basketball. I love this team. Yeah. The last couple games, a little less so, but the makeup of the team and just the versatility of the roster is really exciting.
Without a doubt. And you took a team that lost multiple seniors, multiple like 5th-year seniors. Zakat, no, not Zakat.
Doesn't know basketball.
Triple J.
Doesn't know ball.
Santee. I'm sorry. Triple J, Santee. You lose 17th overall pick, Dalton Connect. You have a small core, Zakai, Meshack coming back, and then you build it basically from the ground up.
It's a whole new roster, and so a big credit of the season so far goes to the coaching staff with the roster that they built with the help of the Volunteer Club Inspire and all those things. But they rebuilt this roster in a way that is, I would say, more well-balanced than last year. I think a lot of times last year, you saw the team kind of go into an offensive funk, and it's just like, here you go, Dalton, which is great because he was elite and he could do that.
He could.
This year, it feels like when we have those lulls, you have more options that can kind of get the ball and make something happen. And you look at, Jordan Gainey had the great game against Illinois. Then you've got Chaz has gone off several different times. Sakai, even against Auburn, I know we lost, but he's playing elite. Like, you have different guys that can step up in those moments and provide you that spark. And I think that's what you really need in March, because you're not relying on one guy who can go cold. You hopefully one of your 4 options is ready to go on any given day.
Which is more similar to the rest of college basketball. So often Coach Barnes is just defense, and then, maybe we score 65 points a game.
Right.
Where now, I mean, we still have that token Rick Barnes, Deacon Barnes defense.
100%.
I mean, it is absolute clamps out there. I love watching Jamali Mashack play
Oh, it's great.
Because it's very similar to me. No jump shot. I'm talking a year ago. Jamali's actually kind of stroking it this year.
He's playing well this year.
Just negative jump shot, but you just really aggressive defense, like real, passion to be there. And the dude is a freak athlete.
Yeah.
Freak athlete. Can pick up 1 through 5 from baseline to baseline, and it's so fun to watch. You talk about Chaz. He kind of came in, and people kind of dubbed him like the next Dalton, which is so unfair.
The largest shoes to fill.
That is tough. So unfair, because they're just different players.
100%.
They're both natural scorers. Yes, they're both going to have successful pro careers, but different players. So I think Chaz's struggles as of late, we're filming this a few days after the Auburn loss. I think that's good, almost. At least, obviously, you don't want to lose basketball games, but you want those other guys. You want Zakai, you want Gainey,
you want to step up,
a guy like Dubar, even Milicic. Like, you want them to have opportunities to 100%. Take it and go score, so you know that you have options into February, into March.
Oh, I agree completely. I mean, I think you look at this team, obviously Chaz has the big shoes to fill, and so I think there's been a little bit of looking to him at a lot of times, and I think it's good to have this adversity, because I'm a huge fan of Igor and his game. I like him a lot. I think Dubar's still got a ton of potential to fill in those spaces. And then I think Felix is a guy that doesn't get enough talk, because he's dominant on the inside, rebounding really well, blocking shots, altering shots. I mean, not even like stats are really good, but from just a force in the side, he's altering shots and altering game plans. Like, you've got guys that, last year we were a little weaker inside, won't mention names, Jonas Adu. And this year you've got a guy that will make you think twice about coming in, which is good. And then you see him battle these other big guys, the guy at Auburn, Brooms or whatever. He's going toe to toe with him, and that we have not had that kind of toughness outside of what's the kid's name from the big white kid? Oh, it's my block. No.
What are you talking about?
Slavic.
Euros?
Euros. I was going to be like, I'm so sorry, Euros. I like him. He's very nice.
Yeah.
He was super tough, but he didn't have the skills that Felix has.
Yeah.
He didn't have the raw athletic talents that Felix has. So having a guy that'll be a little bit of an enforcer and can back it up is great. Mashack is somebody I was going to dote on. One of my favorite basketball players at Tennessee of all time was a horrific offensive player. Yves Pons.
Okay.
One of my favorite players to watch of all time. Just
that's a great
freak
comparison.
Athlete. And just a monster on defense. And so Mashack brings that same energy, just like where Yves was flying around blocking shots, Mashack's just flying around causing havoc at all points of the court.
I mean, to have him, when him and Zakai are on the floor together on defense, it's just hell for the ball handler. I mean, you got both guys who are just in your face all the time. You're backing into the corners, forcing bad passes. It's impressive, and it's really fun to watch.
Oh, it's unreal.
As we're filming this, by the time you will see this, Tennessee will have taken on Kentucky at home. So we're going to give you kind of our thoughts ahead of the game, and you'll have the result to compare it after. How are you feeling?
Domination's coming. I don't know.
There we go.
That's all I feel.
Both teams coming off 2 straight losses. Yep. No. We lost. Yeah, we beat Mississippi State.
So,
ball nowhere.
One, this, I'm always going to pick Tennessee, but that said, I just don't think I don't like Mark Pope. I don't understand. I thought he was a weird hire for Kentucky in general. I think I'll take Rick Barnes versus him. I'll take Rick Barnes all day. So give me Rick Barnes and the boys to take care of Kentucky.
It's something about just the Rocky Top environment. It doesn't really transcends individual sports. I mean, we're undefeated. We've lost 1 game at home in football the last 3 years.
Yep.
We have not lost at home in basketball yet.
Yep.
Baseball, I mean, you look at all the numbers, we don't really lose a whole bunch at home.
The fan base, as our steamers know, because they are a fan base, is just a real differential.
Without a doubt.
They make a difference in this era.
And I think it's not as much, a lot of times you think big, intimidating home environment, it must be hard for the other team. I don't think it's that. I think it is our players feeding into that.
I agree with that.
That elevates their game.
I think it's both, but I do think there is a real correlation between our fans getting hype and then our players feeding off that environment and knowing, all right, we're always in this. Fans got our back. Like, we're good. Let's just feed off the energy, keep the energy up. Like, I think there's real truth.
Being able to capitalize like on just what's going on in the arena, knowing that everything that you do correlates to that. It's
100%.
Fantastic feeling.
100%. Sure. I'm excited about the basketball season. Again, we're really starting to check in over the last couple weeks here. I think there's huge potential for the team. I mean, obviously, we're going to make the tournament at this point. That seems like it's just where we get seated. And I mean, I'm always curious with our team, how does the tournament look, right? Like we just did it with football with the playoffs. Basketball's the same thing. Like, awesome, we're going to have a good season. We'll get into the March Madness, and then that's when it really matters. Like, this team has potential to win it all. They also have potential to lose in the first round. And so that's what makes March Madness incredible.
That's the spectacle, right?
Yeah, and so I'm excited to see it. At this point, I'm just kind of watching all the games, enjoying them, hoping we win them all, obviously, but then really my eyes are, how does this team look like they're going to perform in March? Like, that's the key, right? You got the defense, and now if you go cold, what does that look like? Because can you match up with every team no matter what they throw at you on the court? Looks like we can. We've got a versatile roster. Can you find the buckets is going to be the question mark. Because, last night we playing Auburn, we went pretty bad from the offensive floor. Like, there's a reason we only scored 50 points or whatever. Now Auburn's a great team, one of the best in the country, great defense, but like, those are the kind of games that you have to look at and go, awesome. Struggled here, struggled there. If we come against this in March, how do you improve?
Right.
How do you make these changes so that we're getting, better looks, more efficient looks? Obviously, at the end of the game, as good a look as you could have asked for just doesn't go down. That's basketball. It happens.
Right.
So I think it's a team that's built for March. I know people inside the program like to say that. It's a team, we're built for March.
Yep.
I actually believe that this year. I think it's a team that can go a long way in March. When you're watching in the past, teams with really good senior guards can get carried a long way in March. And I don't think there's a better senior guard in the country than Scott.
Yeah. We're old. A lot of starts under these guys' belt, whether it's
here or there. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a veteran team.
Absolutely. I think the one thing that kind of nipped our heel last season and that we haven't really seen it, but maybe it's a potential, is depth.
Yep.
Especially on the inside. Last year we played 8 or 9 guys a game, but we struggled with that intensity on the inside.
Yep.
We had bodies, they just couldn't do it. And this year with JP Estrella going down and then, Kim Carr leaving the program, not that he was a big guy inside, just he's kind of a rotational piece and a scorer. You got to go to the Felixes. You got to go to the Cade Phillips, who's had a great year. You got to go to Igor and be like, there's not a Zach Edey in this year's tournament.
Right.
But there's
some other big guys.
There's some other guys who are pretty dang talented.
And that's what when I look at it, like, if you have to play a Zach Edey, like, that's always going to be tough.
Exactly.
Now, would I rather have Felix than Jonas? Absolutely.
Yes.
All day, every day in that matchup. But like, some things you're just going to have to do by committee and have to hope they have an off game. Like, if we play Duke, you just got to hope Cooper Flagg, who's a generational talent, we do our best, contain him the best we can, and you hope he has a bad game. But like, that's March, and I'm excited for it already.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm already starting to bracketology, like see where we're going to go in. But I think this is a team, and this is going to be blasphemy. I am done caring about the SEC basketball tournament.
Yeah.
I do not care.
It doesn't really matter.
None of that matters anymore to me.
It matters for one class of teams, and those are the ones that are on the bubble.
Yeah,
right. I mean, if you're on the bubble, you can make a run and go. But I mean,
like, I always want to win those, but like, if you're sitting here today and you're telling me I can have an SEC championship or I could win 2 more games in the tournament, give me the 2 games in the tournament all single day.
I mean,
like, all day.
Yeah. Listen, hanging a SEC championship banner, that's cool. We've done that, but
I want a Final Four.
Final Four.
I want a Final Four.
Exactly. 100%. I'll lose first round to Mississippi State every year. That's fine. I don't care.
You give me a Final Four, I'll take a first round 70-12 loss. Like, I
don't even show up.
Yeah, it's fine. You can put me out there and I'll play. 100%. It's fine. So
they don't want that.
This is going to be more steam. We're going to start doing this. We got to figure out our schedule, how often we're going to do these during basketball season. We're going to try weekly or bi-weekly. We don't know yet, but basketball has a lot more games that we'll have to break down, so a lot more research to do. But we want to make sure we're staying in touch with you guys as the Steamers. We know you were asking for us. We heard the calls on social. So we'll do basketball now. Then we'll switch over into baseball once baseball season starts coming. Just trying to give you guys content all year round. And then once baseball season's over, we'll really dive back into football and start prepping for that.
Oh, yeah.
We'll do intros for all the newcomers for football, all those things. So we know we're a football-centric show at our core, but we're also massive Tennessee fans that care about everything Tennessee. So we're going to do basketball, then we'll do baseball, and we'll be back into football. So like, comment, subscribe. Leave us in the comments if there's stuff you want us to talk about. If you guys want to do call-ins, we'll take questions from you guys. What do you guys want to see in the show? And we'll try to make that happen.
Yes, we are. And if you want to know any of these players we talked about, you want to know more about them, we got episodes. It's a show called High Volume, hosted by our very own JP Estrella. He's done episodes with pretty much almost the whole team. Yeah. We're close to getting top down the roster. So check those out. They're produced by our lovely producer Dalton as well. And I think we'll see you next time. That's it.
We're back. Some more team. We're back, and we'll see you guys shortly. Go Vols.
Go Vols.